The air at Bethpage Black was electric, thick with tension, hope, and desperation. Every shot, every putt, every cheer seemed to echo across the course, amplifying the stakes with each passing moment. Tens of thousands of American fans roared, believing in a miracle comeback as the US team turned the Sunday singles scoreboard into a sea of red. The energy was contagious, and for a while, it felt as if the impossible was about to unfold right before their eyes. For a few heart-stopping hours, the impossible seemed within reach. The Americans surged, feeding off the crowd's passion, and the pressure mounted on every European player. But then the momentum shifted. Missed opportunities and nerves began to creep in, and the tide slowly started to turn. The European blue crept back onto the board, not with wins, but with soul-crushing ties. Each halved match felt like a small victory for Europe, chipping away at the American surge. The home crowd's roars faded to nervous murmurs, then silence. The tension was now almost unbearable, as hope gave way to anxiety. Europe, rattled just an hour before, found their nerve and dug in, remembering the massive lead they'd built. They leaned on each other, refusing to let the moment slip away. They just needed to hang on, and they did. Every par, every clutch putt, every halved hole brought them closer to the finish line. The final moments were a blur of relief, not celebration. Exhaustion and disbelief mingled as the reality of what they'd achieved began to sink in. When Tyrrell Hatton secured the half-point that clinched the cup, the European team erupted, storming the 18th green in a sea of blue. The release of emotion was overwhelming, a year's worth of pressure finally set free. Rory McIlroy led the chants of "Ole, ole, ole" across the silenced course. The sound echoed, a triumphant anthem in enemy territory. This wasn't just a win, it was an escape, a testament to resilience. The emotional toll was visible on every face, tears, laughter, and pure relief. Europe's 11th win in 15 contests, and to do it on American soil made it all the sweeter. The Ryder Cup had never felt more hard-earned or more meaningful. The US team threw everything at them, dominating Sunday singles. But it wasn't enough. Their sportsmanship in defeat was a reminder of the spirit of the competition. The hole Europe dug over the first 2 days was too deep. The Americans' late charge, though heroic, couldn't erase the deficit. The little gold trophy stayed in European hands, a hard-fought prize from a battle that will be talked about for years. Legends are made in moments like these. The legend of Bethpage Black was sealed, its fairways now etched into Ryder Cup history as the site of one of Europe's greatest escapes. To understand Europe's victory, start with one man, Luke Donald. Quiet and unassuming, Donald's meticulous preparation set a new standard. He had his team arrive early, adjusted every detail for comfort and focus, and fostered unity. Donald's genius was in his pairings, built on chemistry, data, and instinct. The result, a stunning 12-5 lead after 2 days, a fortress that withstood the American assault. Even as the US rallied, Donald remained calm, offering quiet encouragement and trusting his plan. His steady hand anchored the team in the storm. As Rory McIlroy said, "Absolute confidence in our leader, Luke Donald." That confidence was earned. Donald's leadership was the foundation of this epic triumph. He didn't just manage a team, he built a legacy. Europe's win was as much his as anyone's. Behind Donald stood his secret weapon vice-captain, Edoardo Molinari, golf's data guru. Molinari's team analyzed every stat, every player, every hole at Bethpage Black. This wasn't guesswork, it was a statistical masterstroke. The data shaped pairings, strategies, and even individual game plans. Players received detailed reports on opponents' weaknesses and the highest percentage plays. This removed doubt and let them play with confidence. Europe looked sharper, more prepared, and more cohesive from the start. The Americans, by contrast, seemed to be figuring things out on the fly. The 12-5 lead was built on Molinari's data-driven edge. The Ryder Cup was won in the numbers before it was won on the course. Every Ryder Cup has a defining moment, a single shot, a single putt that changes everything and is remembered for years to come. At Bethpage Black, that moment belonged to Shane Lowry, the man carrying the hopes of a continent on his shoulders. The big Irishman faced Russell Henley in a pivotal match, just as the American comeback was gathering dangerous momentum. Lowry needed at least a tie to secure Europe's 14th point and ensure the cup would remain on European soil for another 2 years. The match went all the way to the 18th hole, a true cauldron of nerves with every eye in the crowd fixed on the green. Lowry stood over a 6-foot birdie putt, the weight of Europe on his shoulders. With the world watching, he rolled it in. The explosion of emotion was instant, relief, joy, and pride all at once. Lowry's roar echoed across the course, a release of pressure and doubt. In that moment, he had done it for his team and his country. The cup was staying in Europe thanks to his nerves of steel and unwavering focus. That single putt was the firewall that stopped the American charge and shifted the momentum back to Europe. It broke the US momentum and sparked the European celebration, igniting a wave of blue across the gallery. While Hatton would later clinch the win, Lowry's putt was the true turning point, the moment that made victory possible. It was pure guts, a moment that defined the victory and will be remembered in Ryder Cup history. Lowry embodied the fighting spirit of Europe, showing what it means to never give up. The heartbeat of the win was his, Shane Lowry, the hero of Bethpage Black. For Rory McIlroy, this Ryder Cup was personal. As Europe's leader, he predicted victory on American soil, putting a target on his back. The New York crowd heckled him relentlessly, but it only fueled his fire. McIlroy channeled the hostility into brilliant play and fierce leadership. He rallied teammates, won crucial points, and set the tone for the squad. On Sunday, he faced Scotty Scheffler in a heavyweight showdown. Scheffler edged him out, but McIlroy's impact was already made. He'd secured vital points and inspired his team. Even in defeat, he was out on the course, cheering every shot. When victory came, no one celebrated harder. His prediction had come true. This win validated his leadership and belief in his team. McIlroy's redemption was written on golf's biggest stage. He was the heart and soul of Europe's triumph. Credit to the Americans, they didn't go down quietly. They showed immense resilience and spirit, fighting until the very end. Trailing 12-5, their Sunday charge was historic. It was a comeback attempt that will be remembered for years. Captain Keegan Bradley's team came out with fire, determined to make history. His leadership was evident in every player's eyes. Scotty Scheffler led the way, defeating McIlroy and igniting the crowd. His performance was nothing short of spectacular. The scoreboard bled red as points piled up. The momentum was clearly shifting in favor of the Americans. Bryson DeChambeau staged a miraculous comeback, clawing back from 5 down to tie his match. His determination was inspiring. The Americans fought for every point, refusing to give an inch. Their tenacity was on full display. The Europeans were stunned, reeling from the onslaught. They hadn't anticipated such a fierce comeback. The US won the singles session 8.5 to 3.5, their best ever. It was a remarkable achievement. As Bradley said, the Europeans won one match today. It shows how much we wanted this. His words echoed the team's spirit. It was a heroic effort, a display of pride and determination. The camaraderie among the players was evident, but the deficit was too deep. Despite their best efforts, the gap was insurmountable. The surge came too late. The early lead by the Europeans proved to be too much to overcome. The American charge was thrilling but ultimately heartbreaking. Europe's early dominance held. The fans appreciated the effort. The cup slipped away from the home team. The Europeans celebrated their hard-fought victory. Europe's victory wasn't just about stars, it was about depth. Rookie Ludwig Aberg, a captain's pick, played with poise beyond his years. On Sunday, he was the only European to win his singles match outright, defeating Patrick Cantley. That lone point of blue on a red board was a beacon of hope. Tyrrell Hatton, fiery and focused, anchored the team and clinched the final half-point for victory. Every player contributed. Matt Fitzpatrick battled back, and all 12 earned points. This was the definition of a team win. Europe's unsung heroes delivered when it mattered most. The massive early lead was built on collective effort. The stars shone, but the steady light of the whole team won the cup. Europe's depth was the difference. The Ryder Cup was a triumph of unity. The blue and gold prevailed together. There's a unique pain in coming so close, only to fall short. The US team was outplayed for 2 days, trailing 12-5. The media wrote them off, fans lost hope, but on Sunday they fought back with heart and grit. Scheffler's win over McIlroy set the tone, and the Americans played with newfound freedom. They pushed Europe to the brink, turning a coronation into a battle. Their 8.5 to 3.5 singles win was heroic, but not enough. The deficit was too large to overcome. As the final putt dropped, the Americans stood in stunned silence. They'd regained their pride, but the cup slipped away. Captain Bradley's pride was mixed with pain. Their Sunday charge was a testament to character, but the agony of defeat lingered. This was more than a Ryder Cup win. It was a statement. Winning in Rome was expected, but defending the trophy at Bethpage Black was extraordinary. Europe's 11th win in 15 contests cements a modern dynasty. Luke Donald's calm, analytical leadership set a new blueprint for success. His back-to-back victories will be the benchmark for future captains. Europe's culture of unity and belief has built a machine greater than the sum of its parts. The Ryder Cup remains golf's purest, most passionate event. This win was a triumph of team over individual. The Americans will be desperate for revenge, but Europe's system is strong. This wasn't an ending, it was confirmation of a dynasty. The little gold cup feels most at home surrounded by blue and gold. Europe's triumph was forged in strategy, heart, and unity. The legend continues.